Hello and welcome to Hair in the Hawthorn. My name's Kate Ray and I'm your host. And we have a very special guest with us today on the virtual sofa with a title that's in fitting with how he's looking this evening. And I'm feeling duly underdressed today. I should have put a hat on or a fairy crown. I have plenty and I should have done it. I wish I had done. So today we have from the Netherlands, we have he's an artist. He's part of the Fairy Investigation Society, which is a society that I'm myself a part of. So it'd be really interesting to talk to him about that aspect of things. But he wanted to come along and talk about specifically fairy and folklore that's not Nordic, which I had got the impression that that's what it was going to be, but very specifically Dutch, which I'm going to find fascinating. I think that when we get into specifics of fairies in an area, we get right down to the brass tacks of fairy and folklore. So without further ado, and unfortunately without my hat, we have the very impressively named, and I'm having to read this because I know I'll have a dyslexic moment, we have Karl Hieronymous, Baron von Munchausen, also known as T-Rat. So hi Karl, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on board. Hi. We were just chatting before and we were having a look around your beautiful home. And just to start off with, I just want to go back to a point that you made when we were chatting. You said that you wanted to make your home and your garden fairy friendly, and that's very
Balcony.
much.
I don't have a garden, a balcony.
A balcony. Balcony's a garden. If it's got flowers and
Yes,
plants.
but the thing is, if you are on my balcony, you don't have the feeling that you are on a balcony. You feel that you have are on a garden because I have grass and wooden tiles. I don't like concrete, so
Yeah.
everything what's I'm working in it that you cannot see it.
So it is like a little garden. So I've been
Yes.
trying to talk to people in general about how to connect with fairies, and very much making your home welcoming to fairies and a space that is an outdoor space, even if it is, you know, a flower pot on outside your window, can really help with that, can't it? So talk me through what kind of things that you have around and about in your house. I had a quick nosy round. You sort of took me around some of the things that you have there. You are an avid collector of fairy and folklore pieces, and we can see one or two in the background there, which is absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
It's absolutely stunning. So what kind of environment do you think that you need to invite fairies into your life?
Everything natural. Uh, uh, if you read the books, they don't like metal. They don't like concrete and handmade stones. Everything where we live in.
Hmm.
Actually, the thing is, they like things that let energy flow, like wood. Wood is always working, it's always living. Even if it's dead, it's lying on your floor, it still works. And that is what fairies like, natural stuff.
Yes.
Plants, lots of plants and minerals like gems, stones, that kind of stuff. Yes.
And Carl, where did this all start for you? Where did it begin? When were you aware of the fairy realm?
Actually, when I was small, I always walked in the. Uh, uh, I lived in on the countryside in the Netherlands, and I walked in the nature through woods and that kind of places. And the thing is. It was magical. You feel a deeper connection in the woods, uh, and you saw things shooting away from you, and you didn't know what it was. And um, I was always fascinated with fairy tales.
Mm.
My grandmother came actually from Poland, and in Poland they have also woods where you really can wander and you will get lost and you will be eaten with uh, uh, by a bear or something. So it was more magical there, and uh, and she made things like a stew made uh, from mushrooms she picked somewhere. She was a little bit like a witch.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that my grandma was a witch and that my uncle was a troll, but that's a very old story. And my grandmother always told tales from the uh, old uh, old world, like the Americans will call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it had something mythical. It was like something not from our age, and uh, I was fascinated with it. And in the years I learned and I read a lot about it, even when I was a little boy already. And the thing is, if you read them, you want also uh, uh, a little bit uh, to feel something more than that's only a tale. And the thing is, myths are stories told by people to make things understandable. And if you walk through a forest in the night, you can get quite a scare because we have here boars that are very big with red eyes. Uh, it has something. And
So
and
can I ask you, growing up? I mean, I spent a fair bit of time going to the Netherlands. I had friends who lived in Rotterdam, and I get the sense that in Britain, if you are male or female and you're growing up, and you say to your friends, "I'm into fairies," so you get to teenage years and you say you're into fairies, and you believe in the fairy realm, and you get looked at very, very strangely in this country. So over a certain age here, believing in fairies is something that is a bit frowned upon. How was it for you growing up? How were people around you when? Did you tell people that you had still had this belief in fairies beyond childhood?
the thing is, uh, there was a time that I was hiding it between my 12 and 16 year. I was some uh, uh, people thought it was childish and you were just busy with growing up, so you didn't have time to understand uh, to let them understand what's about, and you don't even fully understand it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a phase, but now I'm a grow up, and some people say, if I say I believe in gnomes, they are looking to me like I'm crazy, but they may look to me crazy. And I say, yes, you believe in a God and an angel, and I believe in that the nature is the goddess, and there are creatures we can't fully see, but we can feel their appearance.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. It's when people do say that, they say, you know, how can you believe in something that you can't prove exists? But people believe in a whole raft of things that nobody can prove that exist. You know, I'm a paranormal investigator. That's sort of my weekend hobby, if you like, and I go out with people investigating hauntings and haunted properties. And this is why I put these chats together, was specifically for people who go out into the paranormal world. And I find it very, very difficult that people who've got a very open mind to spirit and to ghosts find it very, very difficult to have an open mind to fairies and to the fairy realm. And I think I've said this before, I think sometimes that is because it's seen as quite a feminine area of expertise. It's something that, but I've actually interviewed, possibly, I think I've interviewed more gentlemen now than I have ladies on the subject, which I find absolutely amazing. How's
Yeah,
it been being a male still, and still saying, you know, I believe in fairies? Has that been difficult, or is that something that you don't really care about anymore?
I don't care anymore. And the thing is, as one thing that fairies taught me personally is that it doesn't matter if it's female or male, it's energy, and both sides are equal. And the thing is, if you see drawings, if you see art with fairies, it's always feminine.
Hmm.
And if you see the drawings and uh, uh, in the Middle Ages, the males are always heroic with a
Hmm.
sword. They are to rescue the damsel in distress in a tower. But the thing is, in the whole history, there is not one damsel in distress rescued from a tower.
Hmm.
And even there is one that is a little bit shady in France. There was once a damsel who maybe was rescued, but it was because the castle was strategically important, and the damsel was convenient in that tower, in that castle, so they rescued her, but it was not about her.
No. So
And
what? Why do
I,
you think? Why do you think that is? Why do you think? I'm sorry, my dog is just going into shot, and I don't know whether you've heard her snoring. It's been quite embarrassing. I've been trying to sort of get round her snoring and grunting, so I do apologise to people if she
no
hasn't actually
problem.
she hasn't actually been on one of my chats yet. She might make an appearance at some point.
No
So
problem.
I mean, I often think that fairy tales and folklore are very much there to impart a sometimes a moral story, sometimes you know, it's a story of pathways that people can take or not take. And you're right, it's like they don't necessarily reflect historic events or histories. And I'm sure you're very much aware about, you know, that uh, the change when the Grimm's fairy tales came out, where they went back to very much on an adult level. So up until that point, they had been for children, hadn't they? They had been stories for
Uh,
children.
the thing is, fairy tales were always for a little bit more for adults than children. And that was because it had to teach a lesson, a life lesson. Uh, and they were always nice. Disney has brought us nice fairies, and the thing is uh, that that's that's also the time spirit, because if I tell people the stories that once were told, they are shocked.
Yeah.
how could it? It's so grim, it's so dark. But the realm of fairy is not always only light and polite and nice. It has also a very grim side to it. And it's the balance. It's the choice that you make in your own life, and maybe not so much a choice, because sometimes it's more that you try to balance through life itself.
Mm.
Yes, and and I think that we have we have here in the Netherlands always been a little bit too polite, and we think that child stories should be only for children.
Mhm.
But the thing is, we, with that we are losing our own identity,
Mhm.
because if you my father, who was born in the same city I'm living in, he knew people who were dressed in folklore clothes still. Now, in the whole failure where I live, there is not one anymore.
Mhm. Is that a
It's the
traditional, is that traditional dress? Is that how
that
you?
traditional clothing, yes.
Yeah.
There was a time that I was dressing in traditional clothes,
Mhm.
but the thing is, uh, uh, it was also in the time that I was living in Amsterdam, and everyone thought that I was the guy from the cheese commercial. So
Oh, bless you. Oh, bless you. So going back to fairy tales, what's your favourite fairy tale? What's your what fairy tale sort of really sticks with you?
I really like the fairy tales about the children who are exchanged
Oh,
by fairies,
changelings. Changelings. Yeah.
changelings,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And my really favorite one is a tale that is a local tale.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, the the place still exists. There are three very big oak trees there, and it was said that there once lived a whole communion of gnomes underground, and there were three big giants who wanted to live there, but they were annoying the gnomes because they are very big and loudly. So the gnomes tried to uh, uh, to chase them away, and they even but the giants were very hard-headed, so they didn't want to go, and they didn't know that the gnomes there lived. And in the end, the when the gnomes were asking that they presented themselves to the giants saw the gnomes and said, "Oh, why did you say it not sooner? Then we would go to the next hill." And the thing was that the gnomes and the giants lived there peacefully for ages, and eventually the giants did die, and where they as for their burial they have planted the gnomes the oak trees to resemble them.
Oh, that's nice. That is a nice tale. That's local to where you're living now. They're
Yes,
local
yes,
trees.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
And is
And
it when
yes.
we started chatting, you very kindly showed me some of your collection, and you specifically chose gnomes to show me. Have you still got any of those sort of around where you sat now that you can just sort of introduce us to? Because this is part of your massive collection of
Yes,
fairy
yes,
abelia,
yes,
fey abelia.
yes, yes, yes. This is one.
And
It's
is that one the Steiff one? Because all these are quite old,
this
aren't
is
they?
this is a very old one from the 30s. The Steiff. It's called. They call him Pookie,
Ah, okay.
and uh, this is one of my collection, and this is the old one uh, designed by Reen Portfleet.
Hmm.
The I can show also. Oh, this is a book of Reen Portfleet.
Oh, I know. Yes, I'm very familiar with that artwork. Definitely. I think we have
And
English version of that book. I think we've got an
yes,
English
yes,
version. Yeah.
yes, and the thing is, what's very nice about Reen Portfleet is he made uh, uh, my generation aware of the nature around
Yeah.
us with
Yeah.
David the kabouter.
Hmm.
He is called, and this is David.
I mean,
And
you mentioned earlier about your grandmother, who you assumed was a witch, and that generation, and especially in this country as well, that generation, they did go out into the woods and collect mushrooms and go out foraging. It's something that very much I've started doing right now, and it does really reconnect you with nature, doesn't it? Um, and going out and understanding, you know, things like gnomes and where they live, and having that magic when you're walking around inside you just makes the experience, it takes it into a whole different dimension, doesn't it? When you know that there are other spirits there, there are other beings there. Is it gnomes that you're particularly drawn to, or you know, which of the realm do you kind of associate with?
the thing is, I really like fairies, like the like sprites and all kind of uh, uh, spirits who are made of light.
Yes.
Um, but in uh, in the years, I have profoundly become uh, a friend with the gnomes because uh, uh, I didn't understand them, but when you are properly introduced and you know they are hard workers, they are very earthly, and sometimes that's also necessary in life. And a funny story of my best friend. Uh, uh, she went to Norway and she did take two trolls with her. And I said, "Oh, I don't want trolls in my house because gnomes don't like trolls." And the thing is, in the in a time of almost a year, there is a whole collection of trolls.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, lovely. So you've given in and given them a home.
Uh, First, those two, and I said to him, if only two trolls are welcome there, but you see it.
Yeah.
Uh, and I always say the things that I collect, the things that I have in my house, they I don't find them; they find me, and my girlfriend didn't believe that till she came once home, and before our door of my apartment, there was standing a gnome. And she said, "They are dropping gnomes before your door. What's that?" And I was, yes, it's a sanctuary for
It
gnomes.
is, yeah, it's a gnome rescue.
Yes,
I'm really sorry. Can you just give me 1 minute? My dog is now playing up really bad. I'm just going
yes.
to let her out the door. She hasn't done this for a while. Um, Honestly, she's usually quite bothersome when I'm in deep conversation with somebody. So I do
Oh,
apologise about
yes.
that. So you kind of running a fairy sanctuary, a fairy rescue, and that's brilliant that somebody's bought one to you and said, "Here, have it." Have you had any mischief in your house that you've kind of gone, "This is definitely fairy work going off here"?
Yes, yes. There is one time it was very uh, it was almost scary.
Yeah.
Um, I had I have a house full of stuff, but I never lose something.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know where my keys were.
Mm-hmm.
So I was searching and searching the keys of my bike. And here in Netherlands, if you don't have your bike, you have nothing.
Yeah.
You have to have your bike. So I was searching the whole day. I couldn't find it.
Mm-hmm.
Then uh, a, f- a friend of mine said, uh, yes, you have lost it. I said, I never lose my keys, so it must be work mischief. And um, uh, I prayed to the Saint Antonius. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, Saint Antonius, my friend, where are my keys? And the thing was, that night I was sleeping, and I heard a loud boing. I was looking, and Saint Antonius had lost his head. He was uh, he was fell off his shell, and uh, so I was I was so okay. I will never find my keys back.
Mm-hmm.
And next day, a friend of mine came over for a cup of tea, and she said, uh, "You always believe in fairies and that kind of stuff. So why do you pray to Saint Antonius? Because Saint Antonius doesn't have anything to do with fairies." And I was thinking, it could only be goblins. Not other logical explanation. So I put two shiny uh, uh, coins between the crack in the floor, and I was telling to the goblins, if you give me my keys back, I sacrifice these coins, and they are for you. And the thing was, next day I was terribly late, and I grabbed a jacket, and a button poof shoots loose and goes under a closet, and I want to grab the button, and there were my keys.
Wow. Wow. It's nice to know that goblins listen, though, isn't it? It's nice to know that they can be bribed with a couple of shiny coins as well. You know, goblins aren't the nicest of elements to be around, are they? They can be a little more than mischievous sometimes as well. So
Yes, but that's a problem of the past, because I have now a friendly house brownie
oh,
who, and he is uh, he is helping me to keep the goblins out and the good creatures in.
oh,
Uh,
good.
yes,
So, did you know when your friends come to your house? Do they experience strange things as well? Do they experience sort of odd things, fairy-like things that are happening?
Yes, my best friend once stayed here,
Hmm.
and she also like fairies. She's particularly bounded with the fairy realm. Uh, if you see her, you would believe that she is from the fairy realm.
Hmm.
And it was very funny because she stayed once in my house, and she said uh, when in the night when she woke up a couple times, she always heard behind the door mumbling and little feet, and I was. Okay, why didn't I hear that? Why
Yeah.
don't, didn't I experience that? But and also a very funny story is uh, um, uh, uh, there is a friend. She is not the most positive person,
Hmm.
and uh, uh, I I said, and she once sat in the chair and she said that she felt something beside her, and that she wanted to go. And the thing is, uh, uh, I have I live in an apartment, and sometimes I forget to close the doors or some things. Never ever has been something stolen.
Hmm.
And the thing is, I say always I'm protected by the fairies,
Hmm.
and people who aren't particularly nice to me or to the doesn't show respect to the fairies who live here. Uh, they don't want to stay here.
Yeah, they get that feeling, don't they? And I think this is another thing that I've been trying to sort of get across to people is you've nailed it for me. That it's respect. You know, you have to have respect for these beings. You have to have respect for their world, and right the way from the light sylphs right the way down to sort of gnomes and goblins. You have to have equal amounts of respect. And when you do work with them, you do find that they will protect you, they will make people feel uncomfortable, and sometimes they can go a little too far with that. I think I have heard stories, modern tales, about them taking that too far, you know, people being pinched, and people being kept awake at night, and you know, they will do that. But if you have them on side, it's definitely a positive thing, I think, and working with them positively. Can you talk us through, I'm really interested to get to uh, in terms of Dutch fairy tale and folklore, how that differs in terms of the rest of Europe, really, because you were very enthusiastic about wanting to tell me about that. So, are there different characters? Are there different that you don't see anywhere else? Are there different beings that you don't see anywhere else in Europe?
Um, uh, the the thing is, we have here the typical gnome, and
Mm-hmm.
that's called here kabouter.
Kabouter, nice.
Kabouter, and um, uh, and it's one of the um, there are many of them. In the Netherlands, there lives they are living very very rich population. We have some trolls.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, our trolls are more frightening than the trolls that are of Norway. Uh, and uh, uh, we have also lots uh, of sprite creatures like the what you can like will-o-wisps. They are lights that you see in the night in the forests, or in the morning when it's foggy over the plains and that kind of stuff. Those are the most common ones. We have also sprites and that kind of fairies, but the thing is, they are not very respected in Dutch folklore, because lots of the fairy realm is a little bit scary. And and here I live in Gelderland. In Gelderland, they are a little bit nicer. In Drenthe, what you can call the Ireland of the Netherlands, because they have their own Stonehenges there and that kind of stuff. Those are there. Those are a little bit of darker, a little bit frighteninger, and I think it's also how the nature is, because in Drenthe nature is a little bit wilder. It's older than the rest parts of Netherlands. The funny thing is that we have here around the corner ancient forest, but not exactly. They have it removed in 1800, but now they are restoring it. So it's coming back again, and you. And the thing is, now the nature restore itself. The fairy tales are also restoring it. They have a little bit little signs where you can walk, and on the signs there are kabouters. Gnomes.
Yeah, I mean we've seen. I've spoke about this as well, but in the UK, when we started lockdown for the C19, the woodlands all around, people were putting fairy doors. So people were going out into the woodlands, they were making these fairy doors, and they were putting them at the bases of trees. And I don't mean one or two, I mean hundreds of them in the woods. And it seems to me that people right now really really want to connect with nature again, and part of that is people are connecting with fairies. It's amazing. So it's nice to hear that the woods are regenerating over there, and part of it is that you're bringing back these folklore stories. It's brilliant.
Yes, and it's a funny thing, because I once was walking in on the countryside, on the whole other side of the region, and local artists had made fairy houses, and they were when you walk through the forest and the plains, there were fairy houses you could see, and it was funny because I didn't know that, but a lot of local residents who are a little bit busy with witchcraft and that's the kind of things, they buy farms here for workshops and that kind of stuff. And they are making also that kind of houses. So you see it almost everywhere in the world. Also a funny story is that my grandfather, he was he fought in World War II, and when the World War II was ended, he fled to America because in Poland the communists wanted to kill him.
Mhm.
And sometimes, because he was a learned man, he studied Latin and foreign languages and that kind of stuff. But the thing is, in the communist Poland was whole gray with no colors, and as an act of rebellion, he and friends were sometimes going secretly in Poland, and they were painting giant gnomes on the gray buildings as an act of protest.
Wow.
So, and in Krakow, a city in Poland, as a remembrance for that resistance, they are all over the city. They have little gnome statues hidden. So. And that's very funny, I think, because my grandfather was born in Krakow, so
Yeah.
even
That's
there is a link with the
yeah.
gnomes.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. I want to call it gnome activism. That sounds like a good way to put it. It's like, you know, rebellion gnome. It's great.
Yes.
In this country, gnomes are things that people have in their gardens, as I'm sure you know. So it was a very big thing. It's getting popular again. So people have garden gnomes, and part of the culture that we understand with gnomes is that you put them in the garden to look after the garden, but also protect the garden. So that's one
Yes.
reason why they're not particularly pretty in the fairy realm. They're not troll-like, but they're not the prettiest things, but they tend to be wise. Um, I've I've talked to people about gnomes, and gnomes is definitely one of the elements of the fairy world that people find particularly difficult to understand, that there are actually gnomes, that there are actually beings of the earth, and they don't always look like the gnomes that we know them to look like, but they are definitely there. I've had people who I've spoken to who've experienced them in numerous different ways. How do you experience fairies? How do you know when there's a gnome about, or when there's a troll about, or when there's a sylph about? What kind of things are the signs for you that they're there for you?
The thing is, you can I can feel them. It's not that I see them clearly, because I don't have the sight, but you can feel it. They communicate with a very ancient language that is more about energy than that it's with words, but they are there. Yes.
So have you had any interaction tonight with them? Because we're doing this talk, I've experienced when I've been doing these talks, and I think this is about number 11 of these kind of chats, that we've had all kinds of technical difficulties that have gone on. I mean, things that should not happen, and it is like an energy thing. And I often joke that it's the pixies at play, or it's the gremlins in the workings that are doing it. So I definitely get a feeling that when I'm having these conversations, because you're talking out loud about the fairies, that their ears prick up, and they're like, oh, people are talking about us, and they kind of, you can almost feel different energies coming into play. Have you
Yes.
had any of that tonight, sort of on the run up to this chat, or during this chat? Have you felt anything about?
Uh, it's a funny thing because I was working today, uh, and uh, my phone is always battery dead,
Mm-hmm.
always. So then I have to start them up, and then you can put the message, and then it's battery dead. The thing is, yes, when I try to log in with the link, uh, I had to do it 3 times before it worked. So
Yeah.
yes, sometimes sometimes you have that, but the thing is, and that's the nice part of having a brownie in your house is they help you with that kind of minor issues.
Yeah, definitely. So your brownie, so we have this perception of brownies, what we're told through fairy tale folklore, that you have to keep them sweet. You have to make sure that they're comfortable in the house. What kind of things do you do to make sure your house brownie's happy?
Um, it's very funny because the brownie that I have, the only thing that he wants is a recognition for his work.
Yes.
So, uh, and and a teaspoon of honey sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like fair payment. Definitely sounds like fair payment.
Yes, yes, and it's funny because uh, I can it's a figure that I bought on a on an antique market,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy who I was buying it from, he he was all about the money,
Yeah.
and he looked really like an ogre. It was a big guy with belly,
Yeah.
old hat. He was looking grumpy. So I was passing that stand, and I saw that figure, and he was looking to me, and it was like, help me, help me.
Have you got the figure nearby? Can we see him? Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Oh, he's so sweet. He's so sweet. And what's his name?
Mickey.
Mickey. And
Mickey.
that's you. And did your house elf come with Mickey? It was Mickey with?
Yes,
Yes, they came together.
yes,
Aha.
yes. And a funny story. Uh, uh, a year later, it was on the same antique market, and there was a lady, and she gave me two figurines because she knew that I was collecting that old gnomes and that kind of stuff. And I will show them.
Your house is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. I could spend weeks going through. Oh, bless.
And they are the parents of Mickey.
Ah! And do they help out as well? Are they retired, or do they help out in the house
They are
as well?
retired. Yes, yes. They are very.
Bless
They
you.
don't do chores anymore so often. Uh, but it's very funny because here in the Netherlands we have a saying: if someone does something good,
Mhm.
and no one knows who has done it, they say the gnomes did it.
It is strange,
And
isn't it? Because in the Netherlands and in Scandinavia, gnomes are the big thing. They are the kind of
yes, yes.
they're up there. But in other countries, it is the fluttery fairies, it's the butterfly fairies that are big. But I love the fact that it's gnomes over there, and you can see in the landscape, because the Netherlands, the landscape is. From what I remember, sort of around Amsterdam and Rotterdam, and I didn't go much further, it's very flat, very, very
Very,
flat.
very flat. Yes,
And
yes.
you can imagine gnomes in that landscape, living in little red roofed houses, and it's just it is amazing, because gnomes aren't that big here. They're not. There's one or two stories that come out, and one or two modern encounters that have come out recently, that have been written in books of modern encounters. But gnomes don't play enough part in fairyology and in fairy encounters, and I think they should. I think we should both put a call out for gnomes to come to Britain, and send some over our way so that we can experience them.
A funny story. A couple a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I have put a story on my Facebook account
Hmm.
because uh, I was uh, I was in a store in Deventer,
Hmm.
and there was a little guy who uh, who I where I it was a second-hand store, and I found him there. It was this leprechaun.
Oh yes, he's definitely a leprechaun. Definitely a leprechaun.
and 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 uh, uh, and the thing is, when I saw him, uh, he, he had to be the brother of of a gnome that I found a time ago, and that is this one.
Oh, definitely. So we've got the Irish leprechaun. So if we're sending you over Irish leprechauns, can you send us over some gnomes back? Is that the deal?
Yes, of course.
I think we do need
We
more
have to
gnomes.
exchange them.
Yes, exactly. We can do a fairy exchange program where we'll send you
Yes.
leprechauns and fairies from this country, and we can that might not be a bad idea, to try that out and see if we can do some European interchange of fairy energies. That would be great. I just want to quickly go back. Um, and you said about when you picked up Mickey off the antique store that it kind of spoke to you, and many people have those experiences where an item will kind of call them, and it doesn't necessarily have to be fairy related. But one of the things that interests me is when energy gets attached to an object, and I never really thought about a fairy or somebody from a being from the Fey realm being attached to an object. You know, I hadn't thought about it. I know in the paranormal world and within ghost hunting, we have spirits that will attach to items, and you get haunted dolls. But it's amazing to think that a fairy can become attached to an item, and because you take the item home, you take the fairy home. You know, so I'm going to be definitely listening out for that, and watching objects. Do you think that they are attracted to things that look like them?
Yes, they have to have the same energy frequency. So yes, they look sometimes like them, or they feel like them. Uh, the thing is, the most fairies are particularly connected with old, really old uh, 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 dolls. They like the gnomes, like the figurines of the fairies. You. I have a whole collection of Art Deco, no, Jugendstil fairies. They are made of metal, of tin or silver. And the thing is, that's not the kind of stuff that normally draws fairies, but because uh, uh, the time passes, they can still attach to it. Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the other thing what fairies always like are keys.
Yes.
Uh,
Do we
I
know
have a
why that
whole
is? Why is that? Why are they attracted to keys?
They open doors,
Yes.
and the fairy realm is not quite here and not quite there. It's in between.
Mm-hmm.
And because the the fairies like to travel, doors are to open, to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think it's very symbolic. I have every friend of mine have always had a couple of gifts from me.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that they will get is a key,
Mm-hmm.
a very old one, and and uh, and they are always like, "Oh, you give me a key? Why? Why?"
Yeah.
And I said, and I say to all of them, they are opening doors,
Mm-hmm.
and one day you will meet someone with a old key, and you can say, "Hey, you also know that strange guy."
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing every friend of mine will get uh, is a brooch of a butterfly,
Mm-hmm.
because it's symbolic for hope. Uh, and uh, and I think that everyone has to have hope. And uh, and the thing came when I broke up with my ex girlfriend. It was a very messy breakup
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of stuff, but things happen. And I was uh, in the train. Uh, uh, I was reading about about the box of Pandora.
Yeah.
So Zeus gave Pandora, a very pretty human lady, a box with all the nastiness of what there is.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to her, "Don't open it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't give a box to a girl and you do say don't open it. That's asking for trouble."
Yeah.
But and when Pandora opens it, everything nasty flew out over the world, and the last thing that came out is symbolized with butterfly, and it was hope. And philosophers are still debating: is hope the uh, the the most nasty evil there is, because it makes you believe that you can do something and it will not happen? Or is it that you have evil, but there is still something stronger than that, and that's hope?
Yeah.
And I believe the last one. And the thing is, when I was walking on an antique market here in, and it was the first day I broke up, I was finding everywhere butterfly brooches, and those are not very common. So it was very strange, because in my whole life I had never had one, and now I had 30 or something I found on one market.
Yeah.
It,
I mean, that's we talk a lot about synchronicities and those happy encounters that pop up in your life, and they do reinforce hope. And I definitely think that the concept of hope goes hand in hand with the concept of belief in the fairy realm, because hope for me it is magic. It is holding on to that magical element that things are going to click into place to make things better. And so for me, magic and hope are the same thing. It's holding on and putting out that energy into the world to manifest something better for your life, isn't it? And a butterfly is a beautiful symbol of hope. Definitely, that's lovely. I'm very aware that we are coming up to time, and before I let you go, I did ask you earlier, could we have a sneak peek of just the fairies that are behind you? I mean, you can't really see mine, but I've got a couple of Wendy Froud fairies that are lit up in the background, and I'm very jealous because you've got a cabinet over the back of you that is absolutely crammed full of fairies, and I'm so excited just to have a sneak peek. So I know you've got to carry you. Yeah, you're going to carry your laptop over, but I genuinely want to have a look.
I will put first a couple back, because otherwise you will see holes.
Yeah. And they've got to go back home. They look comfortable there. Oh, wow. Are they musical birds? Are they the wind-up musical birds?
Yes, yes.
Oh, they're beautiful. Oh, they're lovely. Oh, I can see a little Froud pixie. I bought that collection. I actually bought that collection in the Netherlands, so it's nice to see. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And is your house crammed full all over with these kind of things?
It's
Oh yeah.
It goes on and on and on, because here.
Oh, and you do like your tea as well, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful. Fascinating house. Have you thought about doing sort of some kind of fairy museum? Have you thought about setting up? I mean, I know that there are shops in Amsterdam that are like fairy museums, but I mean, have you got one near you? Have you got a fairy museum near you?
The thing is, I was always telling to my friends that the thing that I wanted want to do once was making a gnome village.
Yes.
Somewhere in somewhere in the woods, where only the people who wants to find it can find it.
Yeah.
Um, a little village and full of houses. What my room looks like, full of houses full of that, but small houses. Uh, some said to me, "You have to have a very big house." But the thing is, I don't like that to go very big or
Yeah.
something. I like it small, but
Yeah.
very dense.
Yeah, I totally agree. You should so build that gnome village. I'm really sorry we have to leave it here. I'm sure at some stage I will have you back on, because I've got so many questions, and um, such an interesting and amazing existence that you have, and it's so nice to find sort of a fellow fairyologist across the way. I know that the Fairy Investigation Society is definitely a growing society, and we have privy to a group that's much smaller within that, so we do get to sort of chat on and off and share articles and stuff, and it would be really
Yes.
nice actually if we could get a few more members to maybe do a Zoom meeting where there are quite a few of the members sort of chatting about different elements of the Fae and what it means to them. So I'll maybe set that up in the future.
It would be nice.
Yes, it would be. And even maybe do a live. We could maybe do a live at some point. So we go live on Facebook and people can ask questions about the fairy realm, because there is a growing popularity, and a growing popularity not just in the pretty side of the fairy world, but also in what it means to live with the sort of the darker elements of the fairy realm. And people have got questions. I get asked questions all the time, as I'm sure you do. I want to thank you so much, Karl. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I think the
Thank
next
you.
time I come online with you, I am going to get my fairy crown out, and I am going to do that sort of, that full shebang. I'm like you say, I'm feeling slightly underdressed, and thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your house brownie behaving himself, and letting us get on with tonight's
It
chat.
was
So
nice to speak with you.
lovely. Thank you so much, Karl. Bye bye.
Bye.
I'm still here. Can you hear me? Oh,
Yes.
sorry.